Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. And of course, here's your meme of the day brought to you by FiveMind.com. You know, Democrats don't do policy, they don't do debating. No, everything's a slimy tactic. Everything's a way to just kind of force an outcome, force their agenda through. And I think nowhere was that more apparent than Chuck Schumer's little shutdown stunt that's now failed unimaginably. You know, again, clearly in this situation, it's obvious they weren't interested in policy negotiations. No, they were interested in hostage taking. And of course, we know that they moved the goalposts throughout the shutdown, but in the end, it became all about the Obamacare subsidies, right? That was their last stand. But again, what they wanted was, they wanted the GOP to cave and give them everything they wanted, rather than do it right, you know, rather than find solutions to the problem. They didn't want to have a conversation about price, about competition. They wanted a taxpayer bailout of their position, and of course, a payoff to the insurance companies. So they just stood there, planting their feet firmly in the ground, with the constant near-death hyperbole. If you touch this, the blood will be on your hand. You'll literally murder millions of people. They wanted to create this scare tactic, as if Republicans want to take away people's health care and will leave millions to die. Anything but an actual substantive policy decision. They want to force their agenda. That's it. Even while in a minority position in government, after losing the last election. That's probably the height of the arrogance. But of course, they didn't get what they wanted. Now it seems their little hostage act is blowing up in their frickin' face. It's of course exposed their pathetic behavior, but secondly, it's now shifted the conversation entirely, and President Trump seems to be taking advantage of this moment right now, as supposedly he's dealing with a couple Democrats behind the scenes to now possibly gut Obamacare and reform it from the inside out. He'll probably rename it to Trump Care as well. Yeah, this might be the Democrats' worst nightmare. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. You know, actually, speaking of that Adam Schiff video that I recorded yesterday where he was saying, obviously dishonestly, but that the parties need to work better together and stop all this sabotage nonsense. Well, Adam Schiff, I guess let's see if you're a man of your word, because this is probably the first place that you should start. Take a look at this stunning development.
Are you negotiating with lawmakers on health care ahead of a vote next month?
We're negotiating with lawmakers, and I've had personal talks with some Democrats. I can't tell you who they are. I just don't want to do that. It's not fair to them. About paying large amounts of dollars back to the people. You know, this was my idea. It came up during that. You know, oftentimes under times of stress, like the shutdown, you come up with great ideas that you wouldn't have thought of before. The insurance companies are making a fortune. Their stock is up over 1,000% over a short period of time. They are taking in hundreds of billions of dollars, and they're not really putting it back, certainly not like they should. So when I see this, and when I've seen this over the last pretty short period of time, I said, why do we just pay this money directly to the people of our country and let them buy their own health insurance? And you know, I made that statement, and I made it a little bit cavalierly, but it sounded good. And everybody has picked it up, including Democrats. And I am talking to some Democrats right now about doing that. People love it. We're going to take the money, well, if it gets approved, we're going to take the money, we're going to pay it back to the people of our country to go out and buy health insurance. Now, they can put it in a health account. We can do it a lot of different ways. But they buy their own health insurance. They can negotiate price. And it's going to be locked, so they can't go out and buy a Cadillac. They can go out and buy health insurance.
Yeah, now's where bipartisan unity is needed. Now is where I guess I have this naive hope at the back of my mind that hopes that Democrats will do the right thing and actually partner with President Trump and try to find a solution, try to pass good policy instead of continuously subsidizing this bloated frickin' mess that is Obamacare, that is this taxpayer funnel for insurance companies to rake in untold profits. And while I'm kind of doubtful that he'll be able to get Democrats to do this just because the culture is, or at least, you know, the voter demand is to never, ever cooperate with President Trump. If he does, if he can somehow art of the deal this one, holy frickin' moly would this be game changing. And it seems honestly in a way he's kind of alluding as though he thinks he's gonna make it happen. But just imagine if he's in private talks with Democrats, and not to negotiate another 1-year extension to the subsidies, but rather to gut the entire thing and fix it with the reform that he's been suggesting, which I think is frankly the smartest solution. I mean, that would just be such an absolute massive W. And not just for the president, but for the people as well. I think Democrats should do it. They should put country above party for freaking once. It's going to be a tough sell, though, because this is, of course, Obama's caucus in a way. He's still the kingmaker behind the scenes, and it is Obama's little crown jewel. But I don't know if the polling data is really solid, and if Democrats are getting hammered to support this bill, it could actually happen. And I hope it happens, because it's by far the best idea we've heard so far. Instead of giving the money to the insurance companies where we have really no price transparency, just give it to the people. Let them buy their own insurance. And that would put them in a strong position. All of a sudden, it's a buyer's market in a way, you know? The consumer can now negotiate price. The price isn't just locked in because the subsidy's there no matter what. And hopefully that has people thinking, I mean, why funnel the money through this giant bureaucracy just to continuously guarantee massive profits to a couple mega insurance oligarchies when you could just give it to the people and tell them go buy the coverage you want? Then it's up to the companies and even small companies to try to create the best packages, the best services at the best, most competitive prices, and they then have to go compete for those dollars where the dollars are in the hand of the consumer. It's so much smarter. It's more straightforward, and it would likely be better and cheaper. And now Democrats are boxed into that debate, into that conversation, and they put themselves in that position. And that's probably the position that they were trying to avoid as the ultimate worst case scenario, because now Democrats have to negotiate on the core issue. That's what they didn't want to do. No, they wanted to hold government hostage. They wanted to flip this whole thing on Donald Trump and Republicans, create massive pressure on them to force them into enabling their corrupt agenda. And what a despicable gaslighting campaign that was, to be holding government hostage and screaming that Republicans don't want to negotiate, when the reality is all Republicans want to do is actually negotiate. But in that situation, they'd be negotiating with political terrorists. They were fully willing to work on legislation. They just wanted to have a real conversation, a real policy debate, focused on solutions. They wanted to tackle the failed policy, not further subsidize the scam by giving Democrats the perfect talking point that they need in 2026. Democrats didn't want that. And really, I think that is a mask-off moment for them. Suddenly, you see who's actually on your side and who's on the side of the insurance cartel, the big corporate lobbying groups. This shutdown, in my view, proved it. Democrats did not want to negotiate. They wanted to take you hostage to force more money into the hands of a couple insurance companies. Trump was finding solutions. The GOP wanted to have an actual policy debate, and they were fighting to benefit insurance companies at the detriment of regular people, pitting the rise in healthcare premiums that they themselves are responsible for. It's their program. It's their frickin' subsidies having to prop the whole thing up. I think Trump's doing a really great job here, and if he forces the Democrats on a vote and it's high profile and there's pressure on him and a couple Democrats flip, boy, would that be an absolute massive W. Let's see if he could get a couple Democrats to play ball. Let's see if he could get this one done. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.